From Adam's house and Brian's house and Gina's house, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, from Sex with Emily, Emily Morse. With Gina Grad on news and Bald Brian on sound effects. And now, with the Olympics canceled, I guess you'll just have to wait until next year to see his magnificent gymnastics floor routine. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice. We're going to get it on. Hey, Wheezy. Buddy, bubba. Lisa. Woo. Hey, Gina Grad. How you doing, girl?
Very good. Thank you.
And Bald Brian.
Hey, now.
Let's see. So just to update, in case people want to know, Dawson sent me a nice note that said, thanks for keeping us all working, and right back at you, Dawson and others.
He was supposed to sign our names.
That was on behalf of all of us. Yeah.
No, I asked him. I dictated that to him.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I approved the message. So.
All true.
He is the guy. I remember well, like when you'd go to your friend's house and the mom would make meatloaf and it'd be like four of you sitting around, and at some point someone would go, "This is great meatloaf, Mrs. Jenkins, thank you," and then you're like, shit, now I'm sloppy seconds. I follow along.
Thank you too.
This is really good. I love meatloaf.
It's never worked. It always seems prompted. All right, so but on that note, just for people that want to know, I probably have 20 plus folks that are employees in one way, shape, or form or the other. Everybody is getting paid. There's been no adjustments. There's been no alterations. Everybody's getting paid. And
¿Cuál es Madam Millonario, man?
Ozzy's working as well.
Everyone's getting paid.
I got a note from him yesterday. Want to know if I can get him a computer as well. This is the problem when you live a responsible life. It's a little microcosm of the world. You pay your taxes, you save your money, you work hard, you invest in yourself, and so on and so forth, and the entire world they'll just keep coming to you. Like Ozzy's a 6-year-old man. He's like, I need a computer. Where's my computer? It's like, I don't know how many extra computers I have, but I'm trying to pay everybody. You guys are pretty easy. You're staying home. I have another group of people who works with their hands, and there's certain things like Sean basically works alone in the back of the shop fabricating things in an empty warehouse. So I'm like, I'm sure you could make the drive from Glendale to another part of Glendale and work alone in the back of a shop. I will continue to pay you, and you will continue to fabricate things. That's fine. I don't look at that as a health, that's
crisis.
Health crisis. Then there are other people who I'm trying to work outside of my house. And I got, sweep this and cut the branches down or something. I mean, the thing about work is it's real easy to go, hey man, you got to cool your jets for a couple months. I got a text from one of the guys last night that said, my mom doesn't have a job. And, this is a poor Hispanic group. And she's like, can my mom work? And I'm like, well, I don't. Lynette's just got off the phone with Dr. Bruce. Dr. Bruce panicked Lynette because Dr. Bruce doesn't know how to, Dr. Bruce, like if you go, is the coronavirus going to kill everyone I love? He'll go, well, I
can't say no definitively.
I can't say no. I don't know everyone. Like he doesn't know how to talk. You know what I mean? Like if you just go, but you go like, but Dr. Drew, if Sonny takes the dog for a walk and then comes back in the house, what are the chances the coronavirus is going to be stuck to his shoe? I mean, come on. He'll go, well, but there's a chance it could be. And of course, Lynette is processing all this a different way than I'm processing all this.
Bad frames.
So now I'm getting now I'm getting the part where I'm saying to this guy last night, yeah, bring your mom tomorrow. We'll try to I'll find something for her. And now I hang up and I'm like, oh no, wait, this person can't be wandering around the inside of my house doing things because Bruce just got done telling Lynette nobody comes inside of the house. So now I walk out this morning to swim in the pool, and there's a strange lady and this guy standing in my backyard, and I'm like, dust the barbecue Anything, just do something, walk in a circle, pick up sticks. Now, because I was thinking, like, this person is desperate, fast, and I was thinking, literally, I was thinking about an envelope filled with $100 bills that I have been making over the last 16 months, going out and doing comedy sets at night. Now, some of them pay you $45 and some of them don't pay at all, but some of them just give you $300 bills or $200 bills. And I've just been like, all right, I'll put them in an envelope. And now I have a stack of $100 bills that I didn't really work for, in my guesstimation.
It's found money.
Yeah, I was doing it anyway. I wanted to do it anyway. And here's how you know: 3/4 of the time you get paid nothing, and you don't even know the times you do get paid and the times you don't get paid. You just go out. Sometimes somebody hands you a couple $100 and sometimes you just leave.
They don't.
Right. So I started thinking about that stack of $100 bills sort of symbolically. And I thought, and we all know writing a check is still the same as handing out the $100 bills. It's just money you had that you don't have anymore. But I was thinking, I got a bunch of 20s and 100s sitting in that drawer from all these merch and all this traveling and all the stand-up and all this stuff. And I'll go, I could basically give that drawer to her, incrementally finding things for her to do. So not only have I been able to keep everybody employed, but have actually added a person or two. Wow. So good for me. Yep. I don't use the word hero lightly. You have an audio of Jay Leno talking about Dick Banks, huh?
No.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm reading something.
I'll tell you what you're reading. Last night on the Tim Conway Jr. show at KFI.
Oh, we're talking about me, sorry.
Jay Leno called in, and he was supposed to stay for one segment. He stayed for 45 minutes, essentially 3 segments. And they just, bullshat and had a good time. And then, of course, Conway had to, make the connection that I was there, even though, I don't really know him, but it was a prompt to start talking about you and his relationship with you. And it was fun. And we have the cut.
Oh, well, I'm all ears. I was not aware of this.
Hey, so Gina Grad, who has been Adam Carolla's news person for the last, I think, 14 years, she's with us now every night, and she says that you and Carolla are really good friends, right?
Hi, Mr. Leno.
He's a great guy. He's a really funny guy. I like him.
We hear that he screens all of his car docs over at your warehouse every, year almost?
Yeah. He's a really good filmmaker. We all know him as kind of sarcastic guy, but really good filmmaker, got a real sensitive ear. He does a nice job. I'm always stunned at how in-depth his documentaries are. They're very good.
Yeah, and he's a car guy like us. I mean, he's not on our
like
level.
us, like you, Tim.
He tries.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay, what's the difference between a 2-door and a 4-door? Let me explain it to you, Tim. Yeah.
What's this hatchback thing?
There you go.
So they went on a little more, but that was, it was fun to talk about you on the show.
Well, there's, maybe everyone's just reflecting now because we're all a little whimsical because of the virus, but there are people that are good people and there are people that are bad people, and everyone loves talking shit. But you know what? I love talking. I love it when someone brings up a name. It could be a celebrity, but it could also just be somebody or knew or had, shared some time with, a roommate or a college classmate or something like that. It's great when someone brings up a name and you go, I love that guy, right? And then that person goes, that's a great guy. He's such a cool guy. And you go, I know, I love that guy or that girl, or they're great, right? And they go, yes. It feels even better. Talking shit is fine, and a lot of people do it. But, I mean, it's nice. It's nice when you bring up Jay Leno's name and I go, oh, he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I feel the same way about Tim Conway Jr. as well. We have a Dick Banks song. That's what was coming next. Max Spada.
He felt so inspired. He's going to do 2 of them, but he sent one of them today.
Okay. What's it? Should we say what the song is?
Well, this is the Corona Baby idea, but he did it to 3 Times a Lady.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. We shouldn't have even stepped on it. Sorry.
let's think about October, November, the baby boom.
Someone ate a bat, and we were in quarantine.
Chinese virus.
And the stores had run out of ass wine. Although I hate your mom, I was drinking and horny. There's something I must get off my mind.
You're here. It's the Corona baby.
We were bored, drunk.
Neither parent really cares.
Corona baby. When we met you, 'cause we were bored, high. Corona baby. We decided to screw.
They wish they didn't have you. They had you anyway.
Now we're stuck with you.
Nice Dick Banks with an assist from Lynch, I'm sure, as always. That's funny.
Very touching.
He's got another one coming because I had a suggestion for one that I won't step on. We'll see if we hear that in the upcoming days. DFG, Deaf Frat Guy, is on hold, and we'll unhold him. Maverick, you there?
Probably can hear us.
Oh, that's right.
Brian.
Maverick, hello?
DFG.
Someone poke him.
All right.
Yay.
Is he there?
Oh, look what
Yeah, just unmute yourself.
Oh, you got to.
The very bottom.
Hell yeah.
Oh, is that me?
No, you got it.
Oh, he got it. Okay.
Hell yeah.
DFG?
Hell yeah.
Okay. How you holding up?
Keep it real, just chill acting, you know. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I'm a total animal. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think the one thing I really miss is going out to dinner.
Yeah.
I miss Okie Cookie.
Oh, yeah, that is a no-fly zone during this epidemic.
You can still play that, but it's a very different version.
You should play it alone.
That's a very different version of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that flies in the face of all the quarantine rules and suggestions. Mav?
Hell yeah.
Do you have some JV or all balls?
Dude, I have a ton. The bros out there on Twitter have been helping out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's start off with the first one. Monkey. This is from Surf Monkey. Monkeys riding dogs in rodeo.
Oh man, that is good.
Oh, wow, that's good.
That's strong.
Gives you a lot to think about.
Yeah, what's the problem there?
Yeah, I can't see any problem there. I get it when they have the 7-year-olds and some Arab nations riding camels. That's an issue. That's exploitive. But monkey riding a dog, that's solid transportation and entertainment. I go all balls.
Yeah, it's a win-win for everyone. All balls.
I think you guys are living in a different era. They have now done away with elephants and tigers and stuff in the zoo. This is a vestige of the past. Going forward, that's JV, bro.
Final verdict. All balls. It's a win-win. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
win-win. Yeah. No, we're entertained, and the monkey gets to work on time.
He gets to where he's going.
Gets to where he's going.
Hey, I think we have an intro, don't we?
Oh, sorry.
In fact, we do.
Sorry.
And now, Mangria presents The Deaf Frat Guy and JV, or All Balls.
Hey,
calls from the frat house onto the show. The deaf rat guy, hearing impaired, bro. He's hammered all day long with coochie moves and my gift. They chug some fruits, shoot potato guns, and then play hooky cookie.
All right. Sorry, we did a little cold open
Are we
with
back?
DFG. Yeah, we're back, DFG. All right. JV are all balls.
Oh, yeah. Next one. Bat.
Bats.
Yeah.
Hmm.
A lot of bats in the news.
Bad press lately.
Are they
Yeah.
JV or all balls?
You know, it's not like bats were at the top of everyone's happy list before this whole corona thing. Now they're really sliding. Let's see, bats. I don't know, though. I mean, think about how many cool comics and things they've inspired, you know, and they're kind of an interesting creature. Is there anything that flies that doesn't have feathers? Now there's a flying squirrel, but the squirrel doesn't
like
fly. The squirrel
Right.
kind of
Fly,
jumps
yeah.
from one tree to another. It doesn't gain altitude.
That's a good
What
point.
flies? What in God's creation flies? Now there's the insect family. It's true. There's, you know, butterflies and beetles and things like
Flies.
that. But what flies that is bigger than a bar of soap that doesn't have feathers? And I think there's something attractive about bats not having feathers, because as human beings, the dream was always to fly, but we don't have feathers. But when you see the bat flying, it makes you think maybe we could pull this off. And if you look at a lot of the early attempts of man, like flying, they're kind of bat-esque, you know. So for the inspiration to mankind, I say all balls.
Bats are the only mammals that can fly, and without bats, we wouldn't have Batman. So I say all balls.
You just looked
Yeah.
up the mammal thing.
Well, yeah, I looked up. Yeah, exactly. I was like, what other mammals can fly? I put flying mammals, and apparently bats are the only one.
Oh,
Just the
good.
bat. I like bats because don't they have sonar? Isn't that how they detect other bats and echolocation?
Yeah.
That's good enough for me. I say all balls.
All balls.
Let me tell you a fact. After a good blood meal, one bat will share with another if the other bat is family or has proved to be a reliable friend. All balls.
Oh, wow. They
Nice.
And
sure
look after their bros. Hell yeah.
All right. All right.
Fabulous.
All right.
next
I like
one-
it.
The next one comes from the dud. Wool socks. Wool socks.
Wool socks.
Oh, wool socks. Boy, this is tough. I got to tell you, I have hit a new level of lethargy, which is I am so used to those low boy socks now. I kind of ran. We had a washing machine, clothes washing machine break. There's some sort of law. You know, let me just put this out there to all the young prospective home buyers. When you buy a home and they brag, it comes with a washer and dryer, that sounds good. What they don't tell you is the washer and dryer will stop functioning as soon as they take the fucking sign down from the realtor. Like first thing first, it starts to go almost immediately. It's like, oh, this thing's not working right. We got to have it repaired. And by the time you get 9 months in, you have to replace everything. I've never moved. It's sort of like when I used to buy used cars and the starter would go out on like day number 2. And I'd be like, what are the chances? You either needed a battery or a starter 2 days in. Like, how did the car know it came to me? You know what I mean? Like, what if it just stayed at its original home? So we just had to do the washing machine and the dryer, and it was a delay, and the truck couldn't get up the driveway, and it was the Home Depot, and it was 2 weeks off. Smash cut to, I have nothing but the old school tall boy socks. And I was sitting on my sofa struggling. I had to take a break.
Sure.
I had to hydrate in the middle of it. I cramped up. I had to drink some electrolytes. Drew told me just to lie on my back and wait till my heart rate went down. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Are you so lazy now that regular socks, the socks you wore your entire childhood and most all of your adult life, are like too big a hassle to get on anymore? I find myself rolling them down now. So I'm going to say, with modern sock technology, and by the way, copper infused, you know, the fucking winner is. I was telling everyone, hey, where'd all the pennies go? And then how come when all the pennies left, everything became copper infused?
That's right.
Yes. All right. The coronavirus lives for like 3 days on cardboard and 2 weeks on stainless steel and in perpetuity on my forehead, but dies in minutes on copper.
Oh.
So if you're wearing the whole copper infused, if I was doing all that, hey, it's Jerry Rice, hey, Brett Favre, I'd be working the whole coronavirus dying on it because
hey, it's Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, when they did the whole metal thing, it turned out that it literally like lives for 3 days on stainless and dies in 3 hours on copper.
Wow.
So I like copper infused, but the big old wool socks are too much for this podcaster. I say JV.
As you know, I'm a sock connoisseur, and the only thing wool socks are good for are those couple of days a year when it's absolutely freezing and you're not leaving your house because they don't like fit nicely inside of shoes. So most of the time, they just take up too much room. You don't wear them for 363 days a year. I'm going to say, aside from those 2 days where you wear them, JV.
Yeah, I'm going to take the female angle to this. You guys probably don't know this. Natalia, little kid, your little girl, there was always an occasion where you had to put on a skirt with wool tights. Do you know what wool tights does to the human leg? They're itchy. They're horrible. You get a rash. I say, let's throw them in the dumpster and leave them there. JV.
Dude, they stay warm when they're wet. All balls.
Oh, wow.
I didn't see that coming.
Not up to debate. All right. Here we go into the championship rounds, Def Rec guy.
French inhaling.
French inhaling.
Oh, French inhaling.
Like in through your mouth, out through your nose, or
like this, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it like the smoke from your mouth goes up your nose.
You suck. You take it in your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Spit it out a little, and you suck it up.
Yeah.
And then you inhale it through your nose and then push it out. Oh, man.
Adam, don't act like you didn't know that that's how Frenchie from Greece got her nickname, because she French inhaled.
Oh, really? I thought it was from her French kissing.
Yeah,
no, that's what they teased her about, but it was her French inhale. She goes, the boys really dig it.
We had Max Patty, you're going to have to look this up. But I think there's something called Frenching in like taillights or headlights when it comes to hot rods, like in the 40s and the 50s. We did a lot of French stuff, French kissing, French inhaling, French fries, French
roll your
hot
jeans.
rods. Yeah, like it's weird that we did a lot of it. Not so much with Nicaragua, you know? less so. And look, I am in love with that man. We saw a wonderful little footage of a guy doing it. He's obviously skilled, and I know it goes against the common practice today, because they're talking about a lot of these people in Italy are sick because there's a lot of people smoking there and so on and so forth with the corona. But what that guy did was majestic, and I say all balls.
Yeah, smoking is bad for you, especially in the time of the era of coronavirus. I say JV.
Isn't French inhaling your own first and secondhand smoke?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I say for that
double cancer.
For that alone, you're hoarding all the smoke for yourself. I'm going to say all balls.
I took a semester in France, and I like it. But smoke to get high, not to die. But all balls.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, damn
Smoke
it.
to get high, not to die. All right, what's the score now? I think I may be in the lead. We're going to have to, Chris.
I have you guys all tied at 2.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I think I only missed one. Now we got to check.
You missed wool socks, right? And you missed this one.
Oh no, I got this one.
Oh, you
didn't I?
got this one. Okay, then yeah, you're up. Sorry about that. I was looking up taillights for you.
Thank you. Yeah, Frenched in taillights is when they kind of wrap the car around
That's
it.
cool.
I don't know, weird kind of thing we had with Frenched in. All right. Let's do one more. I think I have one wrong. Brian and Gina have two wrong. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right, I'll go the opposite of whatever they do, just to see what happens.
Man, they have some hard ones, but going for one last one. Okay. Dudes with long hair. This is from Kelly Crane.
Dare you?
I don't.
We know what Brian thinks.
You know,
Fuck those guys.
I don't like guys with long hair. On the other hand, if you think about Aquaman or Thor or whoever those guys are, they just wouldn't be who they were with a haircut. That's like, right. 14-year-old Greg Brady, right? I mean, could you imagine if Jason Momoa just had just my haircut? It just like he'd be good looking, but it wouldn't work like it works. You know what I mean? And Hemsworth, same thing. Like it just wouldn't work, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I hate the guys with the long hair, but when it works, it works. And and now if you're gonna do I had this funny conversation last night. I was sitting around with Sonny and Olga, and he was explaining that he would never smoke or vape, and I was like, I don't care about that, but if I ever see you with a man bun, I'm going to light it on fire. And he's like, what? And I go, I'll douse it with whatever drink I'm holding, and I'll just throw my cigarette on it and burn you to the ground. And he's like, whoa, no. And I'm like, yeah, if I see you with earrings or man bun. So this man bun, it can be abused, and then you could pull it through the hole in your baseball cap and be like Tony Little yelling technique. It can go horribly wrong, but when it's right, it's so good.
So
for that reason, I say all balls.
Wow.
I'm glad you went that direction because you're right. It works when it works, but for every Thor, for every Axl Rose, for every Troy Polamalu, for every Roman Reigns, they've inspired hundreds, if not thousands, of imitators that it does not work for. Fuck you guys with your long hair. The real heroes today, The Rock, Vin Diesel, Jason Statham, we're all bald. Not all balls, JV.
Wow.
If you were to ask a high school or early college Gina, the answer would have been all balls faux show. But at this age, lame, not into it, JV.
My favorite wrestler, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, all balls. I like the face had the right angle on it.
It took a lot of guts to agree with me, son.
Hell yeah.
But and I like your moxie. You remind me of a young deaf me.
Hell yeah. Right. Stay safe.
That was JV, or All Balls, with the Deaf Frat Guy. Brought to you by Mangria.
You can shoot him a tweet at Deaf Frat Guy, and just for those of you who aren't caught up, his real name is Jason. He goes by Maverick. Communications major at USC. Best buddies with Poochie, Mike F, and Moose, and I think Chugley or Fugly's in too. Delta Foo, obviously founded 6. I like the coat of arms. The 2 items on the Herald is a beer funnel, which represents joy, and potato gun, which represents strength.
Isn't there a vomiting owl?
The vomiting owl flanking the Herald is a jackrabbit, which represents fertility and productivity. Yeah, and a vomiting owl, which represents It represents wisdom and purity.
Yeah.
I like that. What the vomiting owl represents:
purity,
wisdom, and purity. All right, thanks, Mav. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah, stay safe.
All right, we're going to stay safe. Let me hit Capterra. There, you need software. Simplify your search with Capterra, the free online resource millions use monthly to find software for their team or their business. Filter software by price and features, and it'll compare price and features. So which you're looking for, it'll filter it that way. Compare top options side by side and save your favorites. Search more than 700 specific categories. That is a lot of categories. Read over 1 million reviews from verified users. If you have a small business like I do and you want to check out their very easy to use website, get any software solutions you need. We use it here as well. You just check out Capterra. Am I right, Dawson?
Visit Capterra.com/Adam free today to find the right software choice for your business. Capterra.com/Adam. Capterra, that's CAPTERRA.com/Adam. Capterra, software selection simplified.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Emily Morse is Sex with Emily. You know, her podcast, she's friends with Drew. She's friends with me. We go way back to Loveline days. And she's trapped in Hawaii, I think, not able to get out of Hawaii, although if there's a place to be trapped, Hawaii's the place to go. I'm just going to float this out there, and I don't know what you guys think, but if you're trapped in Hawaii and you're in a hotel in Hawaii, who pays for the hotel for the length of the time you're there beyond your stay? How do they figure that one out?
That's a very good question.
That's a great question. Yeah. I, as one who's been trapped somewhere, remember I was in Italy when the fucking volcano erupted in 2010. We had to pay for our hotels for that extra weeks, even though we were American citizens trapped in a foreign country. So my guess is they're giving them some kind of rate, some kind of, because they're not selling hotel rooms.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good virus rate.
All right. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with Emily right after this.
It's the winners of the COVID-19 pandemic. We're looking at you, XFL. Sure, your season was canceled, but that only draws attention away from the fact that nobody understands your rules. Your rosters are filled with guys who rode the bench in the NFL or rejects from the Canadian Football League. You have confusing kickoffs. And Tampa Bay has just about the ugliest colors we've ever seen on a professional sports team. But coronavirus to the rescue. The season's canceled, and everyone has simply forgotten just how shitty it was. And you're spared from this quick and inevitable downfall. Looks like there will be another season of the XFL after all. Congratulations, XFL. While we're all losers, you are the winner of COVID-19.
Well, if any good comes from this, it'll be our winners and losers of COVID-19. I want to, before I pot up Emily, and she might have thoughts about this. We should bring her up. There's a little controversy. Emily Morse, are you up?
Here.
Oh, good. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Sex with Emily is the name of the podcast, and the website sexwithemily.com. Oh, there you are.
Hi.
So maybe you could chime in on this, a little controversy. So I've been trying to figure out why we're not getting ages of people who've died of the coronavirus, and we're getting over 50 or over 65 or whatever it is.
Right.
Dr. Drew says he agrees with me. He doesn't know why. I then got we thought maybe the HIPAA, and I wrote down HIPAA, which is, it's the Health Insurance Portability Act. So it's like
privacy.
It's a privacy thing about your information.
Right.
And so I had Dr. Bruce on the phone yesterday after he was scaring the hell out of everyone in my family. And I said, HIPAA age. Does that fall under it? Like if we don't give the person's name, we just say 89-year-old, why is that a HIPAA violation? And he goes, I don't know, let me research it. Then he sent me an email that said, it doesn't really seem like it's a violation, but if you read the HIPAA Act carefully, you might be able to interpret it that way.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a lot of vague answers. I got a tweet from somebody that said it is a violation. So I still don't know.
Violation. HIPAA, people love throwing HIPAA around. Like I was in a doctor's office once and he said, oh, there's someone here that I think you know, Emily, and you should. I'm like, I'm in your doctor's office. You don't toss my name around. So doctors are very quick to kind of they're very careful about this. So I think age, I think name, I think mentioning that you're seeing the same doctor as someone else, you have to be really careful. So maybe some of these families are like, or some doctors are being very careful and saying, we're not going to give the name. We're not going to give the age. So I get what you're saying, because I know they said the 34-year-old, I listened to your show. I understand that they're giving the names of one person, the one death, and not the others. But that could be it. I'm sure there might be a way to get around it, but I do think that especially now people are very careful about HIPAA. So I could see people translating it as such.
To me, the age is an important factor. It's not an either here nor there. I don't care what the guy's middle name is, but there's over 60, as I've said. Dr. Drew and Mark Garagos are over 60, and there's one that's like over 50. I'm over 50. I kind of want to know the age. I think it's kind of an important information. I get it. Everyone's freaked out about lawyers, and I still haven't really gotten an answer, but I would like to have everyone's age reported. But all right, that was my HIPAA update. You're trapped in Hawaii?
I'm trapped in Hawaii.
How'd that work? No. How'd that work? How does that work?
I was here for a retreat.
Mm-hmm.
I was here for, I'm always doing continuing education in my field. It was kind of a self-retreat or a sex retreat, if you will, called Back to the Body. And I came here on March 10th. I don't even know what day it is. I've been here for a few weeks. And it started, that was right.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. That was right. That was Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday the 10th. I was still flying. Everything was fine. Things started getting a little sketchy. Social distancing started on that Wednesday the next day. It was 20 of us in the northern part of the island, pretty secluded, not a lot of great Wi-Fi, and we kind of just kept going into the retreat. So it was sort of bliss. It was kind of figuring out communication and talking about sex and contact and all those things. And we got out after a week, and it was pretty bad. And I thought, LA's in shutdown mode. I think I just have to stay here in Hawaii. So that's what happened. Why would I want to be there?
Could you? I agree.
I don't have kids or pets. Adam.
Yeah.
See, I made a life that,
Yeah, you pack your vagina before you get on the flight, and wherever you goes, you're home. But you could come back to LA if you wanted. Could you catch a commercial flight?
I could come back to LA, but I feel like I can do it. I can do my content. I can help people. I figure I'm in a much better place here because I can actually do my show. We're getting so many questions from people asking about, what do I do with my partner? I'm quarantined and we weren't really getting along before. We actually kind of hate each other and now we're stuck in the same place. What do we do?
Oh,
or people who are like,
Lynette sent you an email.
I actually do talk to Lynette. I'm just saying, but HIPAA.
Right.
So yeah, I think more than ever now, and especially if you had a problem like with communication or with your sex life, you can't run, you can't hide from it now. You're like, this is something we got to deal with. So I figure if I'm stable here, I finally got my internet all set up and Wi-Fi, we can help the people.
How does one of your retreats work? Explain, walk us through a retreat.
Okay, so this is not, so every year I do a retreat that I'm not leading, I'm not teaching, I do different conferences. This one was called Back to the Body. It's this woman named Pamela Matson runs it, and it's for women. And it's 18 women who went on this retreat, and it's with sexological body workers. So you guys have to all this is not a typical retreat, but there's sexological body workers work with women and they work with men, and they help you. So if women, they work on a somatic level, meaning like in your body for women who are holding on to trauma, shame. A lot of women have a hard time with, whether you're in a relationship or not, arousal, feeling turned on, feeling like we know what we want. At least the way I was raised, or was taught about sex, was that it wasn't okay for me to have needs. I had to it was all about what my partner wanted. And so for women who are walking, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, you go and there's these, you what?
Sorry, Brian said somebody got a little choppy there.
Yeah.
What a technology. Oh, you didn't say anything?
No.
Looking it up.
Well, it's about women figuring out what their needs are, what to ask for, and sexological body workers work on women, and there can be touch. They use gloves if there's any genital touching. And
they use gloves.
They use gloves. Yep. And it's more about learning to ask her. I know, you guys, this is a really out there retreat. And I thought, I've been talking about sex for 15 years and helping people with communication and tips and how do I do this better and that better. But there's a certain thing, if we're not in our bodies and we have trauma, we have shame, we hate our bodies, we hate our partner, we're not going to just want to turn on in the moment and have sex and be able to communicate. So I'm learning ways to be, it's a somatic therapy, meaning it's in your body, learning how to listen to what your body says. And these people help you do it.
Are you looking at the ocean, by the way, right now?
I'm looking at the ocean.
We can see the reflection. I think hear the waves. Can we just live
ship, but
wow.
Oh my God.
Why would you? Yeah, where are you?
McKenna Beach.
Oh.
Which island is that?
Maui.
Oh, Maui. Okay.
No, yeah, that's right.
Hi guys, I know this is out there.
Oh,
Would you come back to Maui?
nice.
No, I just got here into this place. I'm going to stay for a week. I'm going to write and help people. I figured I'm in a place to rise up and help all of y'all.
I look at the ocean. I guess it's a weird thing. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Grandma looked at chicken soup or something. It's good for everything. It just seems to heal everything. Like I'm always in a better mood. Like the air is so much better. The temperature is always perfect. The sound, it's so transcends the visual. It's like looking at it is incredible, but smelling it is great and hearing it is great and feeling it is great. It's just,
it's very healing. And that's why I was like, I got out of this thing. I'm like, I'm not flying back to LA and staying in my apartment, in my house when it's like raining and we can't go to the office. So yeah, it's very healing. Walking on the beach every day. Right.
How much sexual surrogacy is there anymore? I used to hear about that, like where you would actually work with a therapist and have sex with a sexual surrogate.
Yeah,
is that going on today?
Yeah, they still have sexual surrogacy. Like everyone saw the Helen Hunt movie. What was that called?
It was called not The Impossible, but The Sessions. Really good movie.
Really good. So yeah, that's still a thing. That is still, people still do that. People with disabilities and sexological body work. You're going to be hearing more about it now. I try to kind of be on the cutting edge of things. This is similar to that in the sense of, but it's people who can want to learn how to like communicate what they need and understand their bodies and blocks, and men who are having like penis challenges and so it's kind of like that. And you can see it's a legal form of sex work.
So I'm just trying to picture this. Would a couple come in together and meet the surrogate?
Yes, they can meet with a surrogate or a sexological body worker or a sex therapist. In fact,
all right, but I want to focus on the surrogate for a second. So the heterosexual couple comes in, let's just say, and there is the man or the woman surrogate, right? And I believe it's in poor form to say, "Hey, you," and then she says, "Hi again," and then you go back to "Nice to meet you." Exactly. So then the wife, let's just we'll all fantasize about it. The wife signs off essentially on the husband having a sexual encounter with the surrogate. Would she be in the room?
She might be. So it depends. So if a couple decides to go see a sex surrogate, although sex surrogacy, this would be more of like a somatic sex therapist or a sexological body worker. But I don't think we're kind of like dicing it all up here, because a surrogate, if a couple goes in to see them, they would go in with a very specific challenge. They'd say, my wife doesn't get turned on. She doesn't, I'm trying to get her to be in the mood for sex and she's not, and I don't know what to do. So maybe the sexological body worker or the surrogate would say, like, let me show, if it was a female, she would show the husband, like she'd be working with the wife and they'd say, well, what turns you on? She's like, well, I really like when he kisses my neck, for example. But the way he does it, he's like licking and he's slobbering. This is a very basic example. So the sexological body work would show like, this is how she wants it done. So maybe she would show it on him and then he would do it back to her and she'd be watching. And then they'd be watching. It'd be like a tutorial. Mm-hmm. And then maybe she would do it on the wife and say like, is this how you want it done? And then they would do it together and they would watch. So it's like a mirroring thing. And I know that people think this is like insane. If I saw my partner with another man or another woman, I would go berserk. But if you take the sex, the sensuality out of it, you realize it's actually, they're just learning. Like people are watching YouTube videos for everything else, or they're going to see therapists. A lot of times we just need help kind of moving through the steps of like, or arousal, right? Here's a big one. This is why people do this all the time. Men are frying pans. You get turned on, you see Lynette, you're like, I'm ready to go. Women, we're slow cookers. Like, ask me about my day, pick up your laundry, like fix my car, and then come back, and then maybe we'll have sex. Like, our brains are the largest sex organ. So since there's so many desire discrepancies with couples, if I need more like talk from you, you have to ask me how my day is, or you could like learn that, and maybe I need you to put your hand on my knee and like say like at least pretend you're curious and you're interested. Like, we need to learn these things, because all we're told is sex starts when the man's aroused. I'm talking about heterosexual relationships, and that's just not the way it goes down. And then women, we feel broken. We feel like, what's wrong with me because I'm not ready to go, because everything we've actually been taught about sex is actually wrong or untrue.
Well, let's dive into that. Although I want to circle back with the surrogate for a second. As
let's go back.
Weird as it sounds, I was sort of thinking about it, and I thought, well, your wife would go to a gynecologist and she might go to get a massage after she went to the gynecologist. And each way, it might just be a dude checking out the coos, and another one be, hey, get naked. I'm going to oil up my hands and put them upon you. I don't know. Why is this that far? Isn't it everything in between a massage? Hey, everything lands in between a gynecological exam and a massage, right? It's just.
We all get to decide what consent looks like and what's fair in a relationship. So there's a lot of women who are like, I just don't get off. I want to learn my body, for example. Like, and so, yeah, you could go to one of these people and they could give you a happy ending, if you will.
So
well, and the way you described it, it's almost like the surrogate's an interpreter. So if you just think of it like an interpreter, then it's really not that scary.
Really not that scary at all. And you guys are both there to learn how to be better lovers to each other. I mean, the thing is, think about everything that we learn to do, right? Like when we're kids, like our parents teach us how to drive. Like we get our driver's license, or teach us how to cook. And we like make sure that we're all set to go in the world. With sex, we're told like, wait till you're an adult, don't get pregnant, don't get an STD, and then have a nice life. And then if you never actually seek out information how to actually figure it out, especially when your bodies are changing, you get older, we're maturing, you don't know what the hell to do. And then we're so ashamed to talk to our partner about it that we just suffer through it. And then we just stop having sex. And then you guys know what happens. It's not a great place to be. So the more I could learn tools, and we could all learn tools to kind of, it's always about communication, but if you could take it to the level of the body, like what is my body feeling right now with you in this room, and someone helps interpret it, like it's a pretty cool experience. I mean, I think it can save a lot of relationships.
What's going on with more and more gay couples? Are you seeing more gay couples? Are you hearing from more gay couples? I've always heard from Dr. Drew that lesbian couples oftentimes just don't even have any contact. It's
the whole like
lesbian
death syndrome thing. It's funny because I've heard that as well, but there's been this study, a big study came out a few months ago that said that the most satisfied people in relationships sexually start with gay men, then say women, lesbian couples, and then heterosexual couples dead last. So maybe the frequency of their sex isn't as much in lesbian couples, but when they have it, they're both pleased and getting off.
I got to tell you, I'm going to go in and talk to my son, because I'm like, you know, I know I'm not supposed to want you to be gay, but statistically, you make more money, you have a better, you live in a nicer home, your neighborhoods are safer, you tend to recycle, you have more satisfying sex, you have a better social life, you get to drive around a 2-seater your entire life instead of an econo box. It's kind of a better life.
Yeah.
Statistically and spiritually.
It's looking good. It's true. No, especially all these studies. You're right. There you go. Like, have some conversations with. Have you talked to your kids about sex at all? Masturbation, at least.
Oh, masturbation. Yeah, I told him to shut the door. Daddy needs to beat off. I don't know if that counts.
Not yours, but theirs.
Daddy,
I'm not beating off in their room. I'm not a weirdo.
That's weird. Why would,
yeah, Emily, come on.
And Emily's a lot there with her retreats and stuff. But
yeah,
okay.
no.
I'm in Maui. Come on, I've been in
to be to your point, I actually did just go out and show my daughter how to drive my car. Like, it's just been tooling around the neighborhood. But no, to your point, I've not talked to her about masturbation.
Okay. Maybe Lynette.
You see the stick shift?
You guys, I'm doing what? That's okay if you don't. Well, we don't talk to them about, but usually what they hear is like it's wrong to touch ourselves or it's shameful. So I think just naming it and just being like this could happen and private and
to be fair too, though, I mean, these kids are exposed to just so much more sexuality than we were exposed to. I mean, I grew up and there was a Farrah Fawcett poster. Like then there was a Sears catalog with the bra section. There was no Lizzo twerking on the beach like constantly. I mean, it's just every music video they see. The halftime show for the Super Bowl, for me, it was Up with People, on a plywood rocket ship, with dried ice coming out of the box and people saluting the flag and marching in place. I mean, just take a look at they got a whole sexual education just out of the halftime Super Bowl show.
Yeah, and I'm confused though too. Like you're right, it's everywhere. We had the Farrah Fawcett part. Remember it said sex in her hair? Do you remember that?
Oh, I do remember. That was like an urban.
It was an urban legend. I just had a flash.
No, the poster.
There was one poster of Farrah, and she was like in the jean shorts like this, and her hair like was this wavy hair, and everyone's like, it says sex in her hair. Like kids would spend hours in their bedroom in one poster, but now we've got Lizzo twerking and they show, and the halftime show, but also we have less information. So now kids are thinking, well, I got to be sexual and I got to learn to twerk, and they don't know what the hell any of it means. So,
and to your point, Emily, I was going to guess what you were going to say, and I was thinking, yes, like you're talking about YouPorn or whatever, they have tons of access, but what is that teaching like 12-year-old boys? That's not what girls want, and that's not how you're supposed to do it to a non-Olympic sex professional.
Right. Exactly. Well, I always say to people, parents, I'm like, I say to parents too, it's either you or YouTube or you or YouPorn. We got to talk to them about it, because porn is, I understand that porn has its purposes for sure, but when kids are learning that, it's like watching Fast and Furious to learn how to drive, from my other car reference. You're watching porn, and you're like, oh, this is how sex goes down, and it's not accurate. It's from a male gaze. It's how some guy thought this would be hot, but that's how kids are thinking, well, this is what's going to happen when I have sex. And so it's really kind of dangerous now, and so that's why if we could just get ahead of it and say, when your kids find and look at porn, which they're going to do at like 8 years old now, you got to be like, okay, not shame them or blame them for it, but just say that is not real. That's for adults. And also it's not accurate. It's fiction, because it really is fiction.
No, it is. The problem is it's aspirational. Like when we see the movies, the porn movies or the James Bond movies, we go, well, that doesn't really exist. But you go, yeah, but you would like to do that, wouldn't you? Like, wouldn't you like to drive an Aston Martin with an ejector seat? Be like, I would. And so I think the problem with porn is you go, that's not real life. And the guy goes, yeah, but that's what I'd like to be doing. Like, that's what I'd like to aspire to.
Yeah.
It's a crazy world with so much information, and information, it's just like a gun, like people go, is it good or bad? It's like, well, if you give it to a cop, I guess it's good. And if you give it to a gangbanger, I guess it's bad. I don't know what the information itself is, just information or pornography or whatever. And it's sort of how you use it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just getting ahead of it and saying, like, I just did a podcast that came out, I think it was yesterday, with a woman named Lene St. John, who wrote a book about how to talk to your kids about sex. Because it's like literally for parents to read. It's really simple. It's like a 5-step model that you got to talk about, like, and give them the anatomy, like the proper names. And then you talk about consent, like no one can touch your body if you need it. And then you're like literally at different stages. It's like, you use things happening in the news or on television being like, okay, so that twerking, the woman's moving her body, this is what it means. Like you literally just, the problem is a lot of the parents don't have the information, but you just kind of answer the questions as they come up. You try to just explain to them, again, body parts. There's some really good sites for parents to look at for kids, and you start when they're young. And if you haven't started yet, then you just start where you're at. You meet them where they're at, and you say, I know this is awkward. I know it's weird to hear me talk about it. My parents didn't talk to me about it either, but we're going to figure this out together. I'm going to answer your questions. And we just take away all the weirdness and the shame and the religion. I know, Adam.
It's weird. Unfortunately, every third speech to my kids is like, I didn't go to college. I grew up poor. I didn't have this. My parents never did that. And look at me. I turned out great. So right. I'm going to have to double back on my own argument.
Add this one into the repertoire. Be like, and I mean, my parents didn't talk to me about it either. I mean, on Loveline, the thing is, 30 years later, like things have not changed. Like the same questions I get on my show are literally the same things you got. It's just like, when are we going to, so I've been this like, I wanted to start doing during quarantine, like an hour a day sex education, just do it on my site, on Facebook, whatever. Like,
well, I will
Yeah,
throw a plug out your way. Sex with Emily, the podcast, new episodes every week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podcast One as well. And also available on SiriusXM channel 109, website sexwithemily.com. Thanks, Emily. I appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me so much, you guys. Stay safe. There's the Farrah Fawcett poster.
Oh, yeah. That's her in her bikini or her one piece.
Is SEX.
Yes. Ooh, by the way, is there ever in the annals of posters, of pinup posters in the modern era, has anyone been in a one piece?
That, it's funny. I think there's a real story about that they wanted her in a bikini and she fought for this swimsuit. And as history shows, I don't think anyone had a problem with it.
And they literally just like hung up a Mexican blanket behind her. She did it she did it on her property, I think, when she was Marilyn Majors. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let me hit Simply Safe. No one should feel unsafe at home, period. And that's why there is Simply Safe, 2 I's in there, simplysafe.com/Adam. Protect yourself and get that protection started now at simplysafe.com. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with the news and Gina Grad right after this.
Hey, wait, real fast, guys.
Hmm.
No, never mind.
News with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drug meltdown. See news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
So overnight, literally, the White House and Senate leaders struck a major deal. When they say early Wednesday morning, I'm talking like midnight, 1 a.m., over a $2 trillion package to provide a jolt to an economy struggling amid this pandemic. This is capping marathon negotiations that just going back and forth. So the majority leader, Mitch McConnell, described it as a wartime level of investment for our nation. Money will go directly to individuals, hospitals, states, industries. So here's how this is the very simplest, most generic of breakdown that we have right now. $1,200 checks to many Americans, $500 for most children. Unemployment insurance will be expanded and supplemented. $360 billion with a B loan program for small businesses grappling with short-term payroll issues, $150 billion to hospitals which have been particularly disrupted, $150 billion for state and local stimulus funds, and $500 billion for lending program for distressed companies. So that's kind of how that's going to break down.
All I know is whenever they do these things, I never see a penny. That's all I know. Like I remember in 1994, I was at the bottom of my professional, personal,
spiritual.
I'd come undone after the earthquake. It's actually a funny thing, and it's interesting. I wanted to circle back to something we were talking about at the beginning of the week when we were talking to Kevin Ryder and Jimmy Kimmel. When I said to Jimmy, it's interesting. I always looked at you as being at K-Rock for a long time before me, but as it turns out, you were just there just literally a few months before I was. And he was like, yeah, no, I guess I was there about a year before you were, or 9 months or something like that. And I was like, no, break it down. And he was like
8 weeks.
And he was like, well, I was there in January when the earthquake hit. And it's like, well, the earthquake was in February. Oh, okay. Well, I got there right after the earthquake. And so he got there in the earthquake was like February 14th or 7th or something like that, 1994. He got there after. He got there in the middle of February. I got there the middle of April, beginning of May. Like it was a couple of months. But it's so funny. It feels like such a long period of time that he was there.
Not to point shit. I just looked it up. January 17th, 94.
Oh, January 17th, 1994. Okay. So maybe he's there for 3 months. But
there you go.
I remember at the time, renting a house in La Crescenta. My work was gone. My girlfriend's work was gone. Her apartment was gone. Everything was gone. Had no income, had no nothing. Her head gasket blew out on her Nissan Sentra. Her car was parked in front of my house. We couldn't afford to get her car fixed, to take it to a garage. I was trying to figure out how to change her head gasket, little beyond my pay grade. And we're just sitting around. And then, of course, famously, her mom came in from Minnesota and was staying with us and everything. And it was horrible. But I was like talking to guys, and they're like, I got a house in the hills of Encino, and the earthquake fucked up my pool, and FEMA's going to get me a new pool and the fence and a patio. And I remember going fuck, I rent a house with 3 dudes in La Crescenta, and I'm not getting anything. Yeah. I did get a bunch of work out of it because everyone's block wall fell over in the San Fernando Valley, and I replaced it with dog ear redwood pickets. But I got nothing from the government. And I was talking to guys who had homes in the hills that actually added carports and shit like that. It was like money from FEMA. So I fully expect this to go down the same road.
I was going to say, and before your story, I was going to say, is this a perfect rich man, poor man? But it is not. It is anything but the way you're describing it. I do remember, didn't W give us all like $500 checks in the early 2000s? I'm unaware of that, but
someone can check it out.
Yeah. So that's happening. Also, there's some hot debate online with whether or not airlines should be bailed out. I think the headline I saw this morning out of the UK was the government essentially saying, why don't you try and cobble some money together first and then then we'll talk. But, everyone wants a bailout. And I think that the UK is going to see if they can fend for themselves first.
I was thinking about, there was a version of the bill that Pelosi was trying to push through that some of it was carbon emission standards that had to do with the airlines and stuff it was like pork.
Yes.
That was tacked on. Yes. And I thought, it's kind of a weird obsession, the airline carbon emission thing. To me, it's like airlines are such an amazing blessing, like that the fact that you can get from one side of the country to the other in 5 or 6 hours, or to Europe in 6 hours if you're on the East Coast, or 12 hours or whatever, 11 hours if you're out here. And I don't think they do that much polluting percentage wise, from a percentage standpoint. Like I just feel like, also, we're never going to have an electric plane. It's just not going to work. We're going to have like more efficient planes, which is fine. But the airlines would like to be more efficient as well, because most of their costs, or a lot of their costs, is fuel. Like it's just consumption of fuel. It's like they would like to be as slippery and as sleek and as lean as possible as well. Just to me, I don't know. Like, again, we're talking about leaf blowers and everything else. I just feel like, I don't know where you guys have it, but airlines polluting is way down on my list. I'm not that interested in it.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm sure we could Google something, but I take it personally. I think with the way that, even from when we were kids, like, Brian and I, whatever, when you just get on a plane with your big seat because you're in the regular economy seat and you have your 2 free bags and you have your meal, and now everything nickel and dime you, and the planes are getting smaller and more uncomfortable. Use some of that upcharge money and see if you can cobble something together and get yourself out of trouble.
But they're also, go ahead, Brad.
I was going to say, and as much as they're an essential part of not just American life, but like business, like, think about how often, business people just travel all the time, everywhere. Like, there's probably bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. And also, I'm not over, see, I'm different in that I love to complain about everything all the time, as you guys may have heard. But if somebody says you can get onto this plane or this device and you can end up in Phoenix in an hour and 22 minutes or something, and it's going to cost you $141, I go, that's a blessing. Like, and then when someone goes like, yeah, but they want to charge extra for the second bag, I'm kind of like, but you're still getting to Phoenix in an hour and a half. And people traditionally died getting from one place
They
or
got
another.
dysentery.
And I'm not at the part where I go, all right, screw these guys. Now let's figure out how we can start figuring out their carbon footprint or waiting in line or anything. Like, I don't like all that stuff, but I still appreciate it. I really appreciate the fact that any of us could join Emily in Maui if we so wanted to. We could be there
now for $50
later today, like
Yeah.
if we wanted to. And that, I don't know, we shouldn't be so cavalier about that.
But-
Like, we
but
should
can't-
appreciate that.
But can't it be both? Because it
Yeah.
is a miracle. It's a complete miracle, and we're lucky to be able to do it. But it has gotten it's and I think we've talked about this before. Like, the future is sleek and more comfortable and more streamlined, and now it's just it's uncomfortable and it's painful for tall people, and you're basically paying the same amount in upcharges as you are in tickets. Like, I thought things were supposed to be more streamlined and more comfortable.
Well, here's my answer. First off, them trying to pack more people into a smaller area that's just business. If they can get an extra 3 people on each flight, everything's going to shrink. It's like I said, airline seats, plywood gets thinner, everything just keeps
2x4s aren't 2x4s.
Well, it's like, 2x4s are 1.5 by 3.5, and parking tickets used to be $18. Like, everything just keeps going the direction it's going, right? Like, I always think, like, when I used to teach traffic school, people would take traffic school in lieu of paying the ticket.
Sure.
Yeah, I did that.
Go, I can't afford $118. I'm going to take traffic school for $31.
Yep.
Which I used to do as well. Wasn't even an insurance thing. I didn't have insurance. Well, guess what? Now you pay the ticket and then you pay to go to traffic school because
Right.
somebody figured it out.
Right.
It never goes the other direction. It can only go this direction. So the airlines, but the good news is, in terms of your carbon footprint, private jet is the worst because there's you and DiCaprio and a couple playmates are on the plane, and there's 7 of you, and you're going to Maui. I go to Maui on JetBlue. There's 148 people in the same
That's
size.
true.
Or not quite the same size, but you're burning almost the same amount with so many more people. So the shrinking of the seats, as shitty as it is more efficient, obviously.
It's the
smaller
bus versus the
footprint.
car. Yeah.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right, I'll take that. Health experts say it is no surprise that New Orleans is the center of the coronavirus crisis in a lot of ways now. Hard hit Louisiana after over 1 million people flocked to the city for Carnival, for Mardi Gras. This was at the end of February. Governor John Bell Edwards requested a major disaster declaration for the state Tuesday as the number of cases rose to almost 1,400 in 43 of Louisiana's 64 parishes, according to the health department. At least 46 have died. On Sunday, he issued a stay-at-home order to slow the rapid rise of cases. So everybody from everywhere packed onto Bourbon Street for, a good long weekend and took whatever they got home with them. Or stayed.
Are they at home or are they on the roof? That's my question. Number one. Number
From the
two, I always
balcony.
think about, when you think about, I'm thinking about Joe Biden. He's like, oh, we got to get light rail system running throughout, so we can get rid of all the automobiles on the road. And I was like, yeah, who was in charge of all the levees in New Orleans? Like, who was on that? Was Elon Musk working on that? Like, did we outsource that to GE or GM? No, that was the government in charge of all that stuff, and it didn't work that well. It was all, I guess, the levee thing. Now, if you believe Spike Lee, the government dynamited the levees so that we could flood the black people. But Spike Lee doesn't get nearly as much shit as he deserves because he is the modern Don King. He dresses in like purple suits and yells "Go Nets" or Knicks, and everyone leaves him alone. But he's really kind of a nut job, and he's kind of weird and angry as well. Like, just the actual thing of, you actually think in modern times the government, like Navy SEALs, dynamited the levees so that we could flood and kill the black man? That's an evil and insane thought.
Well, how is that any different than the 9/11, truthers or conspiracy theorists? Yeah,
because they're,
in my mind, it's exactly the same.
Well, Well, I don't think it's exactly the same. At
Well,
least
I mean, it
because
comes
it
from
has,
the same distrust of government, and you know what I mean.
but I think the 9/11 people were saying this in an industrial war complex machine. So I'll tell you how it's different. I think that the 9/11, well, first off, none of the 9/11 truthers get nominated for Oscars. You know what I mean? Like these are
I'll
fringe
look it up,
nut
but it's very few, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Now there is Ed Asner.
It's true.
Emmy.
So no, well, first things first. What I'm suggesting is not that there's not fringe nut jobs.
Right.
There's fringe nut jobs. Spike Lee is a very visible, successful,
well-respected
in Hollywood,
Respected,
well-respected guy. That's so I'm using him as a distinction to not say, well, what's this have to do with flat earthers or whatever? Yeah, but that's not Spike Lee. I think that if you talk to most guys who are 9/11 conspiracy guys, they would say that's the military industrial complex, a multi-billion-dollar a year industry, doing this or in cahoots with the government in order to pour troops and munitions. And there is something, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but companies that make rockets and bombs and tanks and grenades and stuff like that, that's a major output of money. And it does behoove them to have something going on around the world. You know, that is a big, I mean, that's not my conspiracy theory. That's most people's conspiracy theory, that the industrial war machine sort of thing. Business. So I think the 9/11 guys, the lion's share of them, are more like this is something that they did in order to justify going to war and that kind of thing. But Spike thinks of it is because the government hates black people, not that they make money off of it, or not that it would get this this company rich, but just literally just because the government hates black people, which is far more nefarious a thought, is what I'm saying.
Well, and remember, Kanye West put that exact statement out there during the charity drive. You know, the telethon.
Knew that a scant 16 years later, he'd be standing with his arm around Trump in the Oval Office.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
There he is. But the government, in terms of, I don't think they're capable of blowing up levees, but the sad part is they're also really not capable of maintaining them. And Spike is right in the sense that that was just a slow, it wasn't that they dynamited the levees, they just neglected them for 20 years. And it was a slow death. Sorry, I don't know where we were.
So NYU Medical School is letting students graduate 3 months early so they can become interns and join New York's healthcare reserve to assist in treating patients with coronavirus. That story is breaking sort of now. So I'm sure they'll be up to speed. Hopefully those 3 months accelerated. They won't miss anything.
The doctor holds up a scalpel. Is like, what do I do with this cutty thing?
Butter knife. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, the more, you know, my kids are at home on the computer doing their whatever assignments, everyone is, you know, when Mike August went to get his MBA in Denver, outside of Denver, I think. Can't remember where he got his MBA, but it was it was in Colorado. He said, this is, you know, 15 years ago, he said they had a Chinese student, just a girl, just took everything online, just in China, and she just got her degree. It's like, okay,
can be done.
And the more you look at everything that's going on, and you've heard me yell, like, what do we need to send everyone away to go in this big brick and mortar building to sit in a place and watch the guy lecture or put it up on the screen or whatever? My kids are 13. By the time they get to 18, especially if we have a few more of these corona type viruses, do we really have to ship off to school anymore?
No,
I mean,
their friends will be shipped off to, will stay home instead of being shipped off. That's right.
Yeah, they're friends. I'm saying, like, I've been yapping about this for a long time, and I know there's a social aspect to college, but there's a social aspect to work, and they all have friends anyway. Like, how much more of this going off to college do we really need, especially when you think about the expense incurred to all the debt that all these people build up? Like, we kind of learning that whether it's doing a podcast or doing your homework or getting an advanced degree from China, like, can we just do it now?
Apparently.
Yes,
All right.
doable.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to run down our little roundup here with just a couple of headlines going on. Very, very sad for a lot of folks. Waffle House closing 365 of its restaurants. More than 1,600 still open, but 365 they're closing.
I got to say something. It's been on my mind for a while and brought up. I remember very distinctly going to the Waffle House in Atlanta, outside of Atlanta. I guess we're just somewhere in rural Georgia. And I remember specifically seeing this like 55-year-old woman who was a waitress, and she was like working so hard.
Oh,
and,
right. Yeah.
She's slinging that stuff and holding the plates. You know, whenever you're putting the plate mid forearm, you know, you got one plate and you got another one mid forearm.
I could never pull that off.
Well, you know why? Somebody needs to make like the quarterback wristband, but it's a little flat thing, and you can put a mug or plate on there. But I do want to say this to everybody. This is an opportunity for two things. A, to ask yourself, do I have some money set aside for said rainy day? Am I prepared? Like, do I have some water, some canned food, some toilet paper, and some cash? And then also, folks that are, you know, in their 40s and working as waiters and waitresses and Uber drivers and blah, blah, blah. And now the shit's gone down and you can't make ends meet. We got to start having this honest discussion, which is, and I used to bring it up all the time when people go, this woman, you know, she's got 3 kids. She's in her 40s. She works at McDonald's. The minimum wage is $11. How's she supposed to take care of the 3 kids and the rent and the food on 11? And it's like, sweetie, you're not supposed to be working at McDonald's when you're 39. You're just not. I'm sorry. We have to have a conversation. You have to think about the future, everyone. You have to position yourself. And people go, well, yeah, but what about these people? They don't have skills. Okay, it's time to start acquiring skills. It's time to start positioning yourself. I walked down our construction site when I was 19. I was picking up garbage. I was like, nobody needs me here. Like a donkey could do what I'm doing.
Are you a non-essential employee?
Yes, anybody can do what I'm doing. Anybody can do what I'm literally picking up garbage on a construction site. I'm pushing a broom. I'm doing something I could have done when I was in the 7th grade quite easily. And I was like, I got to get myself from something that anyone could do to something less people can do, which is now as an apprentice. You know, now I know something. I have some tools. The second my foreman said, I'll give you another $1 an hour, you buy a pickup truck. I just bought a pickup truck because I want to be the guy, because he wanted someone with a pickup truck. Me showing up on a motorcycle didn't help him. Me showing up in a pickup truck potentially helped him because he could send me to Terry Lumber to make a run. I'm just saying, people, you've got to work on getting yourself in a position so that when somebody goes, they close the Jack in the Box and you go, fuck, I'm out of work. Like, you can't have that as an adult. These are not adult jobs. A lot of these things we're talking about, these are not careers. It's up to all of you. I don't know if you figure this out, but the politicians aren't going to fix this one. You have to continue your education. You have to work some weekends. You might have to work for free. Not now, of course, but when we come back, get yourself in a position so if the shit goes down, you have a skill set. You can go home and do your accounting from home, or you can go home and do your business, sales, whatever, from home. The problem with being a waiter and you're 50 years old is you can't go home and do it, or you can't go to another restaurant and do it. And as noble as everyone thinks that is, I'm sorry, being a waiter in your 50s is really not much of a skill. If you can do whatever your job was in high school, if a 16-year-old version of you can do your job, think about what job you're doing.
The irony is that because despite people losing their jobs and the economy getting worse and things getting worse for workers, is that now's never been a better time to further that education. You know, all these universities going online offering Harvard offering classes. Yeah. For God's sake, can you imagine 5 years ago, oh, take a free Harvard class.
Right. So now's the wake up call, people. And again, look, you don't have to play shortstop for the Yankees, but there is a pool of anyone can do this job, and that's work at McDonald's. And at the top, there is hosting a late night show on a network or playing shortstop for the Yankees. See if you can make your way into a position where it's a little less anyone who walks off the street can do this and a little more they need me to do this.
Yeah, and to your point, I don't know how accurate it was, but he's a pretty good math guy. On KFI last night on the Conway Show, Tim did a quick calculation on this bailout, and saying whatever it is, $300 billion or whatever to give to individuals. If you divided that by 330 million people or whatever, that would essentially be about 18 grand per person, and that's great. Who couldn't use another 18 grand? But you can't live on 18 grand. So even if that money is real and is coming, you can't live on it. It's not going to save you. It's not going to save any of us.
Well, no money from the government's going to save anybody, or it could save somebody very temporarily. But big picture, folks, you have to work your way into a sort of place of demand. And it was always easy for me because in the building trades and in carpentry, it's so concrete, pardon the pun. Once you get from apprentice and then you get into carpenter, you start really getting in demand. And then when you get into finish carpentry, or when you expand, when you're I could do framing, but if you need me to build you a cabinet, I could build a cabinet. If you become a Swiss Army knife,
diversify.
You're always busy, because I could put on a patio or I could do a piece of custom furniture for you. And so I always just sort of figured completely diversified, completely have this skill set and always be in demand. And that just holds true to any business, anywhere, anytime. But it's the thing about being a waiter, as I realize, is there's certain jobs, and they're jobs like being a stripper. Being a stripper is easy cash, it's easy money, it's just easy hours. It's kind of easy, but you age out of it. You just can't do it forever. Waiters, as I think back on the guy we had with in Maui with the families a year or so ago, and Danny Two Sheets was telling me to give him $250 instead of $200 on a tip or whatever it is. I was like, that guy's 49. He lives in paradise. He lives in Maui, and he's walking out of here with $450 cash every night. Why would he ever change? Why would he ever get another job? And it's a gilded cage. I'm telling you, it keeps you there. It's like rent control in Santa Monica. You'll never buy a house in Reseda. All right, sorry, Gina. Let's do one more.
And I wasn't waving you off. There's a gnat in here.
Nice.
It's bothering me.
Enough with your talk.
Scamper away. All right.
Rap signal.
I'll just give you these two just quick updates because we got more names.
Oh,
Singer
yeah.
Jackson Brown has revealed to Rolling Stone that he tested positive for coronavirus.
Oh, wow.
Prince
Brown.
Charles, Queen Elizabeth's son. Never heard of him? He's 71, I believe.
Wait. Is he the one that doesn't sweat?
No, that's Andrew.
I think that's Andrew. Keep track of everybody. That's
Charles
probably Andrew.
This is the Camila Parker Bowles want to be a tampon guy, right?
A tampon guy?
That's he'll go down in history.
But Brian, I'm right?
No, that was, remember he cheated on Die with Camila Parker Bowles, and the tabloids recorded him saying he wants to be a tampon and wants to
he wishes he was her tampon.
Oh, right.
Yeah, some weird, very icky.
That's what we'll remember him for. So he's quarantining in Scotland.
Blue blood indeed.
Easy.
And apparently Queen Elizabeth is in good health. She's following quarantine orders. Greta Thunberg, it says it's extremely likely she had it, and she's come out on the other side. She couldn't get a test, but had all the symptoms. Her father had it a little bit worse than she did. She was, all over Europe, all over Central Europe 2 weeks ago, and she's now basically recovered. And it needs to be known, because why wouldn't he? Harvey Weinstein asking for a 2-month extension for discovery in his civil case, quote, due to the current coronavirus crisis. His lawyers, however, won't confirm whether the disgraced mogul, has tested positive. His civil case is set to be May 15th, but there was reported that he does have it. So they're going to throw everything at this thing, I think, to get this moved back. And Terrence McNally died from complications of the coronavirus. Tony Warning playwright.
Who?
He wrote Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you've seen Masterclass. Yeah, I saw it on Broadway.
How old a gent was he?
He was a spry 81. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of folks we've heard of have gotten it now. But I still don't have anyone I know who's got it. Do you guys have somebody?
I hope not.
We talked about this. Yeah, I know 2 people, but yeah.
But the reason I'll bring it up, periodically is because it's gonna change.
Oh yeah.
I hope
you're right.
There's a handful of us that still go into a major corporate complex every day, to work, and we all, share a small, news booth and stuff. So God willing, we're all good.
I've quizzed. I ask everyone I know just periodically, like, do you know anyone who's got it? And they know, they've heard of these people. But to me, it's an interesting thing. Like, I'm curious, like at some point, someone's going to have to go, my brother, my dad, or my neighbor, like somebody's going to have to get this. Is Max Tapata, Gary, Dawson, anybody on the crew?
Yeah, a friend's mom has been tested positive.
Friend's mom.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something.
Yeah.
Nobody over here. No one.
No one on my end, thankfully.
Okay. All right.
Well,
we'll keep it. We'll keep you posted. Let me hit Oracle here by NetSuite. Companies like Ring and Hint and Tecovas that make the boots. What do they have in common? They all accelerate their growth with NetSuite. If you want to take your company from 2 million to 10 million or 10 million to 100 million, well, you want to do that. You want to get those kind of revenues. You go with NetSuite by Oracle. Gives you the tools to turbocharge your growth. Get a full picture of your business, finance, inventory, HR, customers, and more. Run your entire business from anywhere, even if you're working from home like we all are today. NetSuite customers grow faster than the S&P 500 companies do. Did you know that? They're the world's #1 cloud business system, trusted by 20,000 plus companies. NetSuite business grows here, and it is NetSuite by Oracle, right, Dawson?
Schedule your free product tour right now and your free guide. 6 ways to run a more profitable business at netsuite.com/Adam. That's netsuite.com/Adam. netsuite.com/Adam.
One thing, I just checked my notes. There was that story about the couple that drank fish tank cleaner.
I have it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that one, because I have my own version of that.
Okay. I will get that going. But here it is. An Arizona man has died. His wife is in critical condition, at least when this article was written, and this might be 2 days old, after taking chloroquine. That's a drug some people believe can prevent coronavirus, but after ingesting chloroquine phosphate, believing it would protect him from being infected, the man's wife ingested it too. The toxic ingredient they consumed was not the medication form of chloroquine. That's used to treat malaria in humans, which they are having a lot of positive insight with. Instead, this was an ingredient listed on a parasite treatment for fish. The man's wife told NBC News she'd watched television briefings when Trump talked about potential benefits of chloroquine. Even though no drugs are approved to prevent or treat COVID-19, the disease caused by this coronavirus, some early research suggested it may be a useful therapy.
This story this is one of those stories that the news fucked up, and they fucked me up with it because I was hearing a lot about this chloroquine and hearing about a lot of doctors and getting a lot of positive results, and I started thinking, oh, maybe we have something on the shelf that already works that we could do, that we're not months off from a cure or whatever. And then it's like couple drinks chloroquine or applies chloroquine and dies, and I was like, fuck. But they left off the fucking part where it was fish tank cleaner.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Fucking
it's parasite treatment
assholes.
for fish.
Yes. They didn't tell us that part. The first wave of this was just, they just ate this.
Chloroquine kills people.
That's what it was. It was like Trump told them to eat it, and they ate it and they died. And I was like, fuck. And now it turns out it's fish tank cleaner. I can rest easier. Number one, please news, get your shit together. Also, I figured this out with benzoyl peroxide.
It cures COVID-19?
Yes. Oxy 10 used to be really expensive, or I had no money. It was one or the other, possibly both.
Turns out it was pretty cheap.
Oxy 5 and Oxy 10. I remember when I was like 17, it's like, hey, it's $8 for a little thing of Oxy 10. It's like, holy shit.
You went to the pharmacist. Do you have Oxy 1 or Oxy 2?
They would sell, and by the way, Oxy 10 works. Like, it's good on a zit. It's good on a neck rash. It's good on it. But they had Oxy 5 and they had Oxy 10, and it was expensive. And I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to spend $7, I'm going to get the Oxy 10. One day I was looking at the Bondo that I was using to do fender repair. It's a part A and a part B. It's a catalyst and a resin, and one part's a drying agent. And I was looking at the little orange tube, and on the back of it, it said 90% benzoyl peroxide. And I thought, if Oxy 10 is 10% benzoyl peroxide, it's like $7. I can get this little thing from Pep Boys for $3, and it's 90% benzoyl peroxide. And if you picture that little orange tube that you mix together with the Bondo, not that you guys mix Bondo, but it's very familiar to me growing up. It's like a rust-colored orange paste that's 90% benzoyl. I use some of that shit. I was like, I'll dab a little of that on a zit before I went to bed. And look at me now. I'm beautiful.
So,
a vision.
The moral of the story is...
What's the
Wait a minute. I have no idea what the fucking moral of the story is. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
Oh, and you can also put toothpaste on a zit. That's the news. I'm Gina Grad.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.
Tom Segura is coming up on tomorrow's show. I ran into him outside the back of the Comedy Store a couple of weeks back, and I said, hey, man, come on the show. And he said, okay. And here we are. All right, you can pre-order my book, I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, at Amazon.com, and bookmark us and click through. It always helps. And you can go to Chassis, CHASSY, and get all those movies, posters, T-shirts, uppity, Blu-ray, whatever you want. We'll sign them. We'll send them out to you. I want to thank Emily Morse for coming in here. Sex with Emily is the name of her podcast. And until next time, Carolla for Gina Grad, Bald Bryan, and Emily Morse saying mahalo.